Hello and welcome back to my channel. We are continuing on with our process craft with me tutorial video series for making a ballet journal. But you can use these processes and tips and tricks for any journal that you create. This just happens to be the one that I started working on last week. So what we are going to focus on today is creating tags. And I have tucked in a few, and what I've done is just use some cardstock, cut out tag shapes, and attach some lace, sewn it around, and then started to embellish it. And with this, I actually found in one of my kits some beautiful black lace doilies. Aren't they perfect? I told you I'd bring in some black. They come together when I go to the vintage markets. A lot of the vendors do this kind of package type idea, and these particular paper doilies were inside one of these, and I just thought they were so perfect. So this is what it looks like on the back. Lots of room for journaling, and I can do some stamping on there if I choose to. So I will just pull this out. I've got another one here and put some black fiber trim through the top of it, and then I have done this one with just some of this dotted, felt dotted tulle that you can buy probably at Joann's or Hobby Lobby or wherever, and attached it to the cardstock, stitched it around the edges, glued on a doily die cut that I have, and used one of the images from the kits. Really super simple, and then just tied a sari silk topper through there. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Is I am going to just show you how I attach the fabric, because that seems to be something that people have a lot of questions about or tend to struggle with. And I will just show you my method, which is choosing the fabric, making the tags ahead of time, and then just do a mass production of 12 to 15. Don't forget, I've got 2 journals, 4 signatures. So if I make 12, that's only 3 tags per journal, and I probably want more than that. Also, these being pink and black, I could use them in any other project that I want to if they don't happen to work in this particular journal. So what I have gone ahead and done is pre-cut all my tags, my paper tags with the backings. If it was thinner cardstock, then I attach some either thin cardstock or thin parchment paper to the back of it. And then I have just gone and sort of roughly cut some lace and some beautiful embellished textile pieces that I can explain further as we go. And what I'm going to do is glue these on today, right now. Also, I want to show you these that I have pre-cut. I like making these very tall, slim tags and then paper punch the bottom edge. And I've got this Martha Stewart punch that I've used for so many journals. They make beautiful page edges as well. And this is 2.5 inches across. And then what I do is I just have this topper punch, and I'll do one of those for you right now. So it fits right into the 2.5 inch mark. And I just flip it around to make sure I've got it in there evenly and securely. And this one is being sticky today. And then quite often I have to do a 2-punch because my hands aren't that strong. And that's the topper. And you just thread some lace or ribbon through it. You could also do it the top like shaped, you know, cut any way that you like. But I really like these, and I make them 7.5 inches long. And this is paper that I got from the Artie Mays Foxglove kit that I have printed out on heavier cardstock, probably about 60 pound, and tea-dyed it. So those are these ones. These would also look really pretty in like a page edge tuck, just over the side of the page. Really sweet. And then these tags I have cut out of some beautiful paper that I have. It is got this beautiful felt, soft felt done with the images. And because it was in black and cream, I just thought they would look so pretty in this journal. So I probably won't embellish them much at all, just kind of ink around the edges. Perhaps do a bit of, you know, if I feel like it, some kind of textile just up at the top or some lace trim, but super simple. And then these ones are very textured with the felt. Love them. So I've got a few of those going, and then I just set them aside and keep going with them. So what I'm going to do now is probably not talk so much and just glue. And I'll just show you how I glue these on. I usually just apply a little bit of glue just around the edge of each tag and then place the fabric onto it, dab it a bit with a wet or a dry wipey, and then trim the lace afterwards, and then go back and stitch around. When I've got something that is a little bit more, say, heavily embellished, I will usually do just a straight seam rather than a zigzag stitch. So without further ado, here we go. This particular paper is actually Recollections, which I got at Michael's. If any of you are liking it, that's where you can get it. And it's almost like a blush color. It's kind of skin tone, but it's just feels to me that it's got a hint of pink in it, which I love so much for this project. So there we go, and I make sure I've got the right side of the lace. This one has the stitching quite easy to determine. And then I just pop it on there a little bit, flip it over, and roll it. I just find that this gives it an even amount of pressure. I just think this is a great trick. I love using this thing. And just set it aside. If it's a little bit sort of off kilter, you still got time to pull it into place. And move on to the next one. So yeah, these are just straight cardstock. And this one is from this beautiful paper pad, Perfect Moments, that I got at Joann's a while back. It's also available in the smaller, I think it's 6x6. I don't think it's 8x8. I think it's 6x6 or 6.5 by 6.5. And those are sturdy enough to hold this. It's not very heavy. It's just a light sheer lace that I buy by the yard. I use it for gift wrapping, you know, instead of tissue paper or wrapping paper. I just think it adds a whole lot of femininity and romance and just personal touch when I'm giving a gift, especially a journal. I just love that look. So here we go with the next one. Same thing. You might get a little tiny bit of the glue showing through, but it's not really that much of a big deal, I don't think. I'm going to be stitching over it anyhow and stuffing it in a pocket. So that's another one. And now I've got this dotted fabric. What I am going to do with this one is glue a little bit on the back of the dots. So yeah, you kind of get a little bit of some streaks showing through, but can't really help that too much. I mean, you could pull them out with a tweezer or whatever before you actually secure the page down, but, or the fabric, I should say, but I'm not that fussy. This is super lightweight and sheer. And you just keep going like that. And they dry well enough by the time you want to stitch them with your machine. You don't have to, but it sure keeps the lace from fraying a whole lot more. This is a gorgeous piece. A lot of these embellished textiles that I'm going to be using now are from Sheila at Boho Daydreams. So they are more embellished, a little trickier to stitch around. So what I try to do is get the embellishment right on the page that I'm attaching it to, or the tag in this case, so that I don't have to go over much with my sewing machine. And that's just what I found. You can tell when the sequins are, you know, sort of pliable, and I mean, they've all been stitched by hand onto this chiffon or whatever it is, silk in some cases. But your machine will go through it, at least mine does, quite nicely. I've got a machine that's about 30 years old. It's a Genome, and I absolutely love it. And I do have a backup brother if my machine needs to be serviced or whatever, which I've had to do, of course. You always have to maintain your machine. So yeah, it's about as tricky as it gets. And then I just flip it over to the back side. Got a little bit of glue on there, which comes off. And also I ink the edges of these tags. You can do it after you've stitched or whatever you'd like. This eraser thingy picks up the glue really nicely. Of course, you can do that afterwards. And that's that one. How cool is that? That's glue. And then I've still got ample room to stitch around and not hit too much of the actual applique, sequined applique. This one is beautiful. So I planned it so that this piece, the embellishment, would sit completely inside the card. And I made, like I said, about 12 to 15 of these ahead of time. What I do is I will use 12 by 12 inch paper, and I can get about 3 tags on an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock if I have to back it with parchment paper or cardstock, whatever I'm using. And that's my system. I can see that my little grandbaby is waking up in my monitor, but my husband is actually home today, so hopefully he is going to watch her. There she goes. I might just have to pause this